Hello, my name is Tianzhi Wen, and our group project is International Management Case Study is Volkswagen. And here's my group member Yue Lin and Ma Wendi and Yu Zhang. And next, I will talk about introduction. And in 2015, Volkswagen had a global scandal also known as Dieselgate or Emission Gate. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency issued a notice of violation of the Clean Air Act to Volkswagen, where the company had installed software in its diesel engine that could detect when they were being tested for emission and alter the performance according to meet U.S. standards. However, under normal driving conditions, the vehicle emitted nitrogen oxide at up to 40 times the allowed limit in the US. This design not only affected millions of vehicles sold worldwide, but also significantly damaged Volkswagen's reputation and led to billions in fines, compensation, and legal fees. The scandal had profound implications, leading to widespread public outrage, significant financial losses for Volkswagen, and legal repercussions. Volkswagen ultimately admitted to the wrongdoing, acknowledging that approximately 11 million vehicles worldwide were equipped with the illegal software. The fallout included billions of dollars in fines, recalls, and lawsuits and executive resignation. The Dieselgate scandal not only tarnished Volkswagen's reputation but also sparked broader discussions about emission standards, regulatory oversight, corporate accountability, and the future of diesel technology in the automotive industry. It serves as a stark reminder of the ethical and environmental responsibility of corporations and the importance of transparency and compliance with regulation. And here is Dieselgate timeline. And in 2014, U.S. researchers discovered Volkswagen diesel cars emitted up to 14 times the U.S. limit on harmful nitric oxide when on the road. And in September 2015, Volkswagen admitted installing software to reduce emission during lab tests. And in June 2016, Volkswagen to pay 14.7 billion in buybacks compensation penalty in the U.S. settlement. And in January 2017, Volkswagen pleaded guilty to U.S. charge, including fraud, to pay 4.3 billion in fines. And in September 2019, Volkswagen CEO Martin and 4 other managers charged with serious fraud and court begin. And next, Yuelin will talk about issue identification.
Thank you, Zhiwen. So moving to the issue identification part. So before we start to talk about the cause analysis, we identified some data and consequences that the scandal has caused. So Volkswagen has faced a large class action lawsuit. The company has to pay about $14 billion to settle the lawsuit. And also around 11 million Volkswagen's vehicles were equipped with softwares that can cheat on emission tests, which also refers to the emission scandal. And Volkswagen also faced the punishment under Clean Air Act, which required the company to pay billions of dollars to support pollution control projects. And also the stock market reacted quickly as well. You can see from the chart on the right, the stock price has dramatically decreased in September 2015, and the market value has dropped about $26 billion within 2 days, right after the scandal has been revealed. So we are going to diagnose the root causes of why the scandal can happen. But first of all, we found that Volkswagen actually has a top-down management style. What is a top-down management style? So basically, top-down management is decisions that comes from the upper management and filter down through the organizational structure. And it also means that Volkswagen has high power distance. While making a decision, it often comes from the top Volkswagen executive and then communicated to the rest of the team. Volkswagen imposed the rigid goals and punished the employees who were unable to meet the goals. This fostered a culture of intimidation and ethical breaches. This high-pressure atmosphere not only hurt the staff, but also compromised the integrity of the workplace, leading to an inevitable failure once a wrong decision being made. In Volkswagen's cases, the wrong decision of the Dieselgate. And this is the root cause, we think, that pushed the Volkswagen engineers to design the cheating system. So the second cause we analyzed is the culture of tolerance. Volkswagen has a rule-breaking tolerance culture, and this cultural aspect likely contributed to the widespread adoption and continuation of practices that ultimately led to the emission cheating scandal. The reference to this culture highlights the importance of corporate culture in shaping employee behaviors and the critical need for ethical leadership and stringent compliance measures to prevent misconduct. The third thing we discovered is the negligence and unethical behaviors of the leadership. The lawsuit actually revealed that Volkswagen's former CEO, Martin Winkelton, was actually informed about this problem a year ago, which is in 2014. He was sent a memo about how the company were generating illegal pollutants. However, Martin and the Volkswagen's other management team decided not to announce it until 1 year later, until the US researchers has disclosed those data. Martin and Volkswagen's management team negligence in such a scandal was undoubtedly another significant reason. Not only the abuse of power, but the leadership's unethical behaviors dragged the company into the mess. And as a result, Martin resigned as Volkswagen's CEO. And the last thing we find out the cause for the scandal is the inappropriate hiring process during Volkswagen's management. So Volkswagen actually implements an attraction framework, ASA framework, in which the hiring managers prefer to select those people who has similar personalities and are more likely to fit in the company culture so that they can help cover the scandal and help design the cheating system without saying it. And this also led to the scandal, while the company kept a less diversified working culture and potentially stigmatized the dissents or ethical concerns that could have prevented the scandal in the first place. So moving on, my teammates, my Wendy, is going to analyze the case of this scandal.
Okay, thank you, Yueling. So just now my teammate analyzed the root cause of the VW's emission scandal. So before we move on to today's topic, the case analysis, so I'm going to show you, so maybe you guys know the action forcing event, which was known as a group of scientists from the West Virginia University to test diesel cars on the road, has found dramatically different results from VW's claim of their competitive low emissions. So behind the scandal, the top-down management style that relied on a strong leader in decision-making was the root cause, was the root of using a deceptive mechanism. And behind the scandal, the top-down management style that relied on a strong leader in decision-making was the root of using a deceptive mechanism in the diesel engine. But besides, the culture of tolerance has indulged the mechanism to last for a decade. So these two dimensions leave the company the world's second largest automaker back in 2014 with glaring blind spots and caused critical consequences. This chapter will present the data, identify the actual impacts of the case, and how this relates from Hofstede's theoretical basis. So the first one is actual impacts of VW's emission scandal. The first point, health and environmental threats that it posed to human beings and society. So the toxic pollution caused by VW's deceptive programmer is a great threat to specifically premature deaths. The nitrogen oxide emitted by the VW diesel cars primarily leads to various diseases like premature death, heart attack, and cardiovascular disease. And it has been estimated that VW's failure to recall the affected vehicles will lead to 140 more premature deaths and 840 million in health costs. And the nitrogen oxide emitted by VW diesel cars primarily leads to various diseases. So the excessive nitrogen oxide into the environment can result in acid rains that have critical impact on the human beings and the natural resources as well. And the second point is VW's emissions, the sales drop. So the emission scandal had a significant impact on the consumer's loyalty, brand perception, and trust. So many consumers were hesitant or even reluctant to purchase the VW diesel cars because of the environmental compliance and the ethical problems that they brought to the company. And as a result, the consumers switched to its competitors. Therefore, the VW has witnessed a huge plunge in the sales in the United States, the market. And to solve this problem, a program that calls for the injection of sales, the bonus, subsidy, or incentives to dealership network has come out during the Volkswagen's struggle with a low profit. And now we're going to analyze from the Hofstede's theory about the corporate culture. So maybe you guys have heard of the power distance theory. So the Hofstede's power distance theory refers to the extent to which the members with less power accept power to be unequally distributed. And in corporate cultures with high power distance, the employees may be reluctant to challenge their authority, the bosses or the policymakers, but they just choose to accept any decision they make. In the case of the Volkswagen, the top-down management style, which shows the strong characteristics of power distance, has restrained the company from incorporating new information and ideas from either outside or from the employees as well. So this resulted in the employees compromising and designing the deceptive mechanism like the cheating engine to win the road test. And the next point, we're going to talk about the uncertainty avoidance. So this is another famous theory put forward by the Hofstede. So this theory refers to how a culture tolerates ambiguity, uncertainty, and the risk. So high uncertainty avoidance cultures, they generally have strict rules, procedures, but the low uncertainty avoidance cultures, they are more likely to be adaptable to changes or comfortable with the ambiguity. The reason for this decade-long deception is the Volkswagen's tolerant culture. So the low uncertainty avoidance culture may lead to the company's tolerance for involving in the deceptive activities, the scandal, and the policymakers just want to achieve the competitively low emission for the diesel cars, and the employees just follow the guidelines set by their authorities, and especially when the company thinks the potential benefits outweigh the risk of getting caught. So much for my part. Now I will move on to my team member to talk about the recommendations and the policies. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about some recommendations. Since the previous CEO, Martin, has made employees facing intimidation and pressure, there are some suggestions based on that. The first one is the power distribution to employees. At Volkswagen, power was in the hands of the top management before, but now management board has 20 seats totally, and 9 of the seats are given to the workforce representatives. We can see that's a huge improvement. The second point is the ethical conduct. Specifically, establish clear ethical standards, open communication channels, and ethical decision-making. After the Dieselgate, VW started cultural transformation under the leadership of its new CEO, who emphasized the importance of ethical conduct. For example, having regular ethics trainings for employees at all levels and a revised code of conduct for integrity and compliance. The third point is compliance mechanisms to implement monitoring systems, conduct regular audits, and establish clear mechanisms. The company appointed a new head of compliance to implement a series of measures to strengthen the company's compliance framework, including establish an independent compliance committee and implement strict control processes. And the next point is the transparency. The transparency in communication and decision-making. For example, VW apologized for its misconduct, accepted responsibility for the wrongdoing, and pledged to cooperate with regulatory authorities. The company also appointed an independent monitor to oversee its compliance and report directly to the regulatory agencies. And the next one is stakeholder engagement. Prioritize stakeholder interests and seek input from diverse stakeholders, including customers, employees, regulators, investors, and the community. For example, the company engaged with customers, environmental groups, government agencies, and other stakeholders to listen to their concerns, address grievances, and demonstrate its commitment to transparency and accountability. The purpose is to rebuild its reputation and restore confidence in its brand. The sixth point is sustainability and corporate social responsibility. The company announced plans to invest in electric vehicles and renewable technologies, aiming to reduce its carbon footprint and mitigate environmental harms. Besides, it focused on community engagement, education, and environmental conservation as well. The next one is the leadership development. The global leaders should emphasize ethical decision-making, integrity, and responsible leadership practices. Those programs should equip with leaders with the skills and competencies necessary to navigate complex ethical dilemmas effectively. After the Dieselgate, VW implemented a comprehensive leadership development program, which focused on ethics and integrity. So this program included workshops, seminars, and coaching sessions designed to enhance leaders' ethical awareness, decision-making capabilities, and sense of accountability. The company cultivated integrity and responsibility as a culture with those programs. That's all for the recommendation part. Now let's move to conclusion. Thank you.
Okay. So in conclusion, the Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal offer valuable lessons for corporation, regulator, and society at large. The Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal serves as a reminder of the importance of corporate ethics, regulatory compliance, and environmental responsibility. Here are some key lessons. Companies should prioritize integrity and honesty in all their dealing, even if it means sacrificing profit in the short term. Secondly, concealing information or manipulating data to evade regulation is not sustainable. Transparency builds trust with stakeholders and foster accountability within the organization. Thirdly, compliance with environmental regulation is not optional. Companies must adhere to legal requirements and uphold environmental standards to protect public health and the environment. And thank you for listening our group project.